With the news that Macaulay Culkin just had his first baby with Brenda Song, I thought it would be appropriate for us to talk about another Macaulay Culkin movie on the show. And this time we're talking about Richie Rich. You see this right here? This is not a Blockbuster video. No, this is a Hollywood video. You know, for those who don't know, Hollywood Video is basically just a kind of like a knockoff type Blockbuster place. And then there was also Suncoast Video, which I think was only in like shopping malls back then. The 80s and 90s were a magical time, weren't they?
He had everything a boy could want.
You have your own McDonald's?
Except the one thing he wanted the most.
I'm wondering if you guys can come over this weekend, you know, hang out. Hang out?
Friends.
Maybe I can play with you guys. Not!
But when someone tried to steal the family fortune...
I hate that kid. What are you after? The vault, Richard. The Rich family vault.
An adventure so big... even the richest kid in the world can't afford to miss it.
Yes!
Macaulay Culkin.
I used to think you were just some spoiled rich kid, but now you're not so bad.
Richie Rich.
But previously on Blockbusters, we've talked about Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone, and Home Alone is still a very classic and beloved movie to this day. So now we're talking about a Macaulay Culkin movie that came out after Home Alone. In fact, it even came out after Home Alone 2. By like 2 years, I want to say. I think it was even after that one horror movie that he did, The Good Son, where he was basically playing the Omen. It was like a year after that. It's 94. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the same year that one Page Master movie, the one where he's like a cartoon for half of it. I think that this came out the same year as that one. Richie Rich has every toy any little boy could ever want, in addition to an adoring mother and father. The one thing Richie doesn't have is friends. When his parents suddenly go missing, Richie suspects an executive in the family company is to blame. Setting out to solve the mystery, Richie hooks up with a group of kids who prove they just might fill the void in his life while helping him save his folks. Now, I had to read the Google description of this movie because I would have read the one that's on the back of the DVD box, but it is fucking long. It's even longer than the one for Monkey Bone. I mean, damn, you want to put the entire Wikipedia description of the plot on the back of the box, why don't you? So this is based on a comic strip slash cartoon, because those were all the rage in the 90s. And John Hughes, I don't think, had a hand in this one, which is very surprising. I thought that he would have had a hand in this, considering that, I mean, another example of this kind of thing in the 90s was that Dennis the Menace movie. For a quick summation, from what I gather, Richie Rich is basically just a comic strip character that's supposed to be the richest boy in the world. He's the son of a millionaire family, and that's basically the whole gist of it. So how do you take that and make a movie out of it? Well, it was the 90s, and people were slowly coming off their cocaine highs from the 80s, so damn it, they tried to make this into a movie. So just like the original comic strip, Richie Rich is the son of a very wealthy family, Richard and Regina Rich. He has his faithful butler, Cadbury, played by the same guy that was the dad and the villain Van Pelt in the original Jumanji. And like the story usually goes, he's a very rich kid. You know, he goes to a very well-end school where they teach things like how to trade stock and how to fence. And, you know, he basically has everything handed to him on a silver platter as, you know, the life of luxury and, you know, a very wealthy family like you'd expect. But, of course, he wants more out of life. Not only does he want to spend more time with his parents, but he also wants to have friends who like him for who he is and not just his wealth. I established this very early on when Richie is sent to do some kind of speech with this company that they're partnering with that's going to bring back a lot of jobs. And across the street from the speech is this little baseball game that's going on, and there's a bunch of kids, and they get one look at him and they go, "Oh, we don't want to hang out with you. You're just a spoiled rich kid. We don't want to hang out with you." And these guys come back later. They become the main friend group of the movie, like you typically expect in these kind of 90s family films. And by that I mean every single one of these kids is an archetype. You've got the token girl, the token white suburban kid who wears flannel and sunglasses and a backwards cap. You got a token black kid who talks in street slang, and the token fat kid who's only there to talk about how he likes to eat.
Well, I was wondering if maybe I can play with you guys.
Play?
No, I don't think this is such a great idea. Okay, all right.
He goes back to the Kmart Sandlot kids, and he tries to play baseball with them. They bet on $10, and after his second swing, he knocks it out of the park, and then they have this whole conversation about, oh, we still don't like you, oh, it's all about the money. They try to give him back his money, but they still don't want him to play, and he just lets them keep the money.
I was wondering if maybe you guys can come over to my house.
Pee-wee, give him the money.
I don't want your money.
I said take it. You don't belong here.
The main plot gets going when Richie's family is going to go off and have some kind of get-together with the royal family. But there's evil afoot because a trusted family friend of theirs is actually planning an assassination attempt, as he gets one of their bodyguards who's in on the cahoots to plant a bomb in their plane. Cadbury tells Richie's parents, hey, he had a bad day yesterday, so how about he just enjoys his weekend here, and you guys go off and enjoy the royal family. So what he decides to do is he gets all those kids to come over for the day and hang out with Richie, and that's when they start to like him. Granted, they were bribed with $100 to do this, but after having a great day with him, that's when they realize that Richie is actually pretty cool. And then this is when we get that obligatory scene that you see in these kind of movies where it's a montage of kids having fun, because, I mean, this place has everything. They have a McDonald's in their mansion.
You have your own McDonald's? No way!
Not bad.
They have a roller coaster too. And there's a part where they're riding on dirt bikes, they're jet skiing, they're just having fun. They're just a couple of radical 90s kids enjoying the fun times of childhood innocence. It was the 90s and they were 12, because they were 12 years old, it was the 90s and they were going to be doing some radical fun. That's how people in the 90s talked, right? That's how every California person in the 90s sounded. Then after a day of fun, they get the news about the bomb, and Richie's parents really aren't dead. They're just in the middle of a life raft in the middle of the ocean. But they don't know that yet. For now, the backstabbing guy who's trying to kill them says that he wants to take over the business, but according to some kind of contract, it turns out that Richie is actually going to be put in charge, despite the fact that he's a 12-year-old. But they say, oh, you're the son, you're the rightful heir. You seem to know a lot about business for a kid your age. You're going to be made the new rightful heir of the business. This obviously pisses off the backstabbing guy, because then we get a whole montage of Richie running this place, and he seems to be running it pretty well. Stocks are going up, business is going well. But of course, evil backstabbing business guy, he doesn't like that because, it's not an orthodox way of running a business with, a little kid running everything and drinking his milkshakes.
It is our job to cut the fat.
Mr. Van Doe, my father never fired anybody. He always said that when people are secure in their jobs, they work harder, they work happier, they work better.
I expected that guy to have a breakdown like Shooter McGavin in Happy Gilmore. Damn you people, this is golf, not a rock concert.
Damn you people, this is golf! Not a rock concert!
And it's made even more unorthodox because Richie then starts introducing his friends to be his business associates, and that just pisses off backstabbing businessman even more. At that point in the movie, I was thinking, okay, so is this going to be one of those things where, the ego starts to get to the main character's head, and then there's the falling out with the friends where they're like, oh, is it all about business with you? I thought we were, friends, and then we could hang out and do kid stuff together, but no, you're now all obsessed with business. No, it doesn't even do that. Evil businessman and his associate then try to plant some fake evidence to make it look like Cadbury was the one that did it, so he's sent to jail, and he's then made the legal guardian of Richie, but it's at that point where the parents end up like Gilligan's Island, making inventions out of bamboo and coconut. Actually, they do it with like an electric shaver and a couple of spare parts or whatever they found in one of their luggage bags. They end up creating this device that's able to reach the mansion with the dad tracker or whatever it's called. It's this big screen that's able to locate Richie's parents whenever they're away. So it's at this point in the movie that Richie realizes that his parents aren't dead, and with some inventions from the wacky scientist assistant character from this movie, they are able to break out Cadbury from prison, who he's now dressed up like a biker leather daddy for some reason. I don't know what was up with that.
Looking pretty radical in those clothes.
Yeah, thank God I was able to hold on to my own underwear.
Basically, the last half of this movie is Richie, Cadbury, and all the other kids trying to break back into the mansion without getting caught by all the security. And some, wacky shenanigans from there. They're able to take out some bumbling guards. They distract them with bubbles coming out of the fountain on the front yard. That's where the movie became very unrealistic. What it should have been was Richie Rich defending his mansion from a bunch of bumbling jackasses that were trying to break into his house and take his family fortune. Come on, we've all seen Home Alone. We know that Macaulay Culkin could have taken them on all single-handed.
Woman I've ever known. Now off you go.
Oh, cut the crap.
Hello.
They take out the head of security. They're able to escape this death trap from the evil head of security guy who tries to put them in some kind of like machine that's going to break down their molecules, but a wacky scientist assistant helps them escape using his robot bee invention that they established at the beginning of the movie.
100 bees working overtime couldn't pollinate like this, baby.
It's at this point in the movie when evil backstabbing businessman now has Richie's parents, because like a couple scenes ago he sent like a plane to get them out of the ocean, but he has them tied up and he takes them hostage. What he wants them to do is tell him where their fortune is, and apparently it's in the side of Mount Richmore, which is basically a Rushmore style mountain with the family's faces carved into it. And of course when they get there, it turns out that there's no $1 million, there's no Scrooge McDuck piles of money in the vault. It's actually just a bunch of precious family heirlooms and stuff that they've had, like memories that the family has had throughout the years. And he's very pissed off about that. He doesn't get his money. And the movie has this big like North by Northwest style ending where they're climbing on Mount Richmore and they have to like climb on the faces and, oh, don't look down, we're gonna fall. Eventually, it obviously goes exactly the way you'd expect. The main bad guy ends up upside down, tied by his leg, and him and his associate end up going to jail. Richie and his family are now closer. Richie now has actual friends. They have a fun baseball game to end the movie, and the main bad guys are now made to be their... They're basically just doing community service.
Good hit, huh? Shut up.
I think my biggest problem with this movie was the fact that just the first half wasn't that funny. Like the first 2/3 of it just kind of felt like, eh. Like there was lots of points where it would just be like, they would make an unfunny joke and then they would hold on like a reaction shot from somebody like, did they really just say that? Or something like that. And then whimsical music would play and then it would just cut to the next thing. And a lot of the times in the first 2/3 of this movie, I was just sitting there going, so was that the joke?
First rule of defense, Rich. Always watch your rear.
But I will admit, by the third act, there were a couple of parts that made me laugh. I mean, some of them were unintentionally hilarious, just based on the hammy overacting that's in this movie. But every so often, there were parts where it's like, okay, that was actually kind of a funny line. Like, there's a part where it turns out the vault is actually voice activated. So Richie's parents sing, and it's a match, and the vault opens up, and the main villain guy just goes, thanks, Beavis and Butthead.
Code accepted. Thank you, Beavis and Butthead.
Like, it wasn't even that creative of a line. It's not like it was really that funny, but I don't know, it kind of made me laugh. There's another part where he finds out that, oh, it's nothing but precious family heirlooms. There's no money or bars of gold. But to that point, I just wanted him to pull a Dumb and Dumber and just go, what is this? What is this? Where's all the money? I wanted him to do that, but he didn't.
What is this? What is this? Where's all the money? That's as good as money, sir. Those are IOUs.
But anyway, no, there's a part where he's like, where'd you put all the money? And then Richie's dad's like, in a bank. Where else would you put money?
Where's the money? In banks. Where else?
It's not even like it was super clever, but it did make me laugh. There's a part shortly after that where he gets all frustrated and he just goes, shoot them now, please.
Shoot them now, please.
Yeah, with the first 2/3 where it's just like, somebody will say something and then somebody says something goofy. And then like they just have a deadpan reaction shot and then whimsical music, and then just transition to the next thing like, Okay, that was the joke, I guess. I mean, come on, guys. That's the kind of shit that you see in a sitcom, not in a movie that goes straight to theaters. As much as I've been dogging on the movie, it's not the worst thing ever. There are clearly far worse movies out there than this. I remember one of my friends said that this is one of the better Macaulay Culkin movies post Home Alone 2, and yeah, I kind of agree with that. It's like, yeah, it's not good at all. Like, it's not a classic like Home Alone. But I mean, if you grew up with it, you might have some nostalgic fondness for it, and I would understand it. It's like, yeah, it does have that 90s charm for anyone that grew up in that time period. So for anyone that grew up with this movie and they said that, like, yeah, it was okay. Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. In fact, honestly, I would rather sit through a movie like this again than sit through something like Gulliver's Travels or Marmaduke. You know, those terrible 2010 family movies that are based on popular properties, where it's just like, it felt like they had no idea going into it. There was no like proper planning. It's just something like this where it's like there were some funny lines every now and again. It's like, okay, well, this isn't the most painful thing to sit through. It's like, it's just kind of a just middle of the road 90s movie that's based on a popular name. So I mean, for what it is, it could have been a lot worse. It's clearly not that good, but it's certainly watchable. It's definitely something that I could see myself watching it again, and maybe every so often there would be like a laugh here and there. Because believe me, we've got some worse movies on Blockbusters coming up. I mean, shit, dude. We're gonna be talking about how M. Night Shyamalan butchered Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's not gonna be fun when we eventually get around to doing that. It's okay. That's not the next episode. I actually don't know what the next movie I'm going to be talking about is. I know it's going to be another based on a popular property adaptation movie. Again, I don't know what it is, but we'll find out about that next time. But until then, guys, I'm Adam Sykes of The Blockbuster Show, and we will see you guys in the next video.